Hello everyone, welcome back to Review and Rate. Today, we're entering into a world of mysterious islands and crazy villains. That's right, we're going to wander around in these creepy woods and fight these creatures to talk about Resident Evil Revelations 2, a game developed by Capcom and released in 2015. If you're a fan of survival horror, TV show format games, and shocking stories, you won't want to miss this review. Now, let's find out what is happening on this island and get ready to enter the world of Revelations 2. The gameplay of Revelations 2 is good overall, but in my opinion, it's worse than the first game and comes with quite a few problems. Just like the first game, the story is presented in a TV show style format, this time split into 4 episodes instead of 12, with previously on recaps and end of episode reels. However, the way these episodes start and end feels less engaging and more boring compared to the first game. I understand it's trying to lean more into horror, but the presentation just feels weaker and less exciting.
Previously on Revelations 2.
Mother of balls! My life is awesome!
That bitch stuck a needle in me?
Claire, get up to the roof!
See? We're like sisters.
Each episode is divided into 2 sections. In one, you play as Claire Redfield and Moira Burton, and in the other, you play as Barry Burton and Natalia Corda. Each character has a distinct role. Claire focuses mainly on combat, while Moira supports her by opening treasure boxes, removing obstacles, finding hidden items, and using her crowbar for melee attacks. In the second pair, Barry takes on the combat role similar to Claire, while Natalia supports him by crawling through tight spaces, detecting hidden items, and even attacking enemies with bricks. Like the first game, you can upgrade weapons, use the knife quickly, and dodge enemy attacks, and there's still no traditional health bar, only a blood screen effect that indicates your condition. One new addition is a skill tree system, where you can upgrade abilities using points you collect throughout the game. This is something I actually really liked, as it adds more progression and customization. There are also throwable objects that act somewhat like grenades, but honestly, they feel much weaker and less satisfying compared to actual grenades. The inventory system is solid, allowing you to carry up to 4 weapons at a time, which is an improvement over the first game. You can also combine items to craft useful resources, which adds a bit more depth. However, I still prefer the inventory system from the first game. It felt more organized and easier to manage, while here, the inventory fills up quickly, forcing you to discard items more often, which can be frustrating. Another downgrade is the save system. Unlike the first game, where you could manually save after each section or episode, this game relies entirely on autosaving, and the playing is done through episode select. While you don't lose progress, it still feels less satisfying and more limited compared to the original system. There are also some small but annoying technical issues. For some reason, the game frequently cuts to a black screen when performing simple actions like opening doors, followed by a short freeze before returning to gameplay. This happens often enough that it becomes distracting and frustrating over time. Since this is a survival horror game, it does try to create a horror atmosphere, but surprisingly, it lacks genuinely scary moments. Unlike the first game, there wasn't a single moment where I felt truly terrified, which is disappointing, especially considering that this game is clearly trying to lean more into horror. You would also expect improvements to the map system, but unfortunately, that's not the case. Just like the first game, navigation can be confusing, and here it's even worse. The only map available is a small one in the top right corner, which is very limited and often unhelpful. Many times, I had no clear idea where I was supposed to go or what I should be doing. Yes, there are objective markers, but they are often placed far away without clear guidance on how to reach them. This makes exploration frustrating and unnecessary time consuming. In a survival horror game, the map is one of the most important tools, so having such a weak system really hurts the overall experience. In general, the gameplay here feels somewhat similar to RE6, but in some ways, it's actually worse. That said, there are still some improvements. Aiming is much more stable compared to the first game, making it easier to deal with enemies. You can also run, which helps you move through areas faster and improves the pacing. One of the better additions is the stealth system. You can sneak around enemies and take them down quietly, which I really liked and added variety to the gameplay. Another strong improvement is the increased focus on puzzles. There are many puzzles throughout the game, and some of them require careful thinking, while others can punish mistakes with traps that can kill you. These moments feel creative and are easily one of the highlights of the gameplay. However, combat is where the game falls short compared to the first one. Despite some slight improvements in boss fights, excluding the final fight, the overall combat feels less engaging and less satisfying. Enemies often behave in strange ways and don't feel as threatening as those in the first game. While there are different enemy types and using various weapons can be fun at times, the combat lacks impact. It may be because the game feels similar to RE6's style, but without its melee system, making encounters feel more limited and less dynamic. Because of this, there were many moments where I actually preferred to avoid enemies instead of fighting them, which says a lot about how the combat feels. Let's now talk about the story. Revelations 2 delivers a great story, even better than the first game in some ways, with a more mysterious and engaging narrative, although it still has a few small issues. One of the biggest improvements is the characters. This time, the game gives you characters you can actually care about, along with a much more interesting villain like Alex Wesker. Just like Albert Wesker, she is intelligent, unhinged, and threatening, which makes her presence stand out. There are still some uninteresting side characters, but thankfully, the game doesn't focus on them for long, allowing the story to stay centered on the more important and engaging characters. It was great to see Claire Redfield return, and even better to have Barry Burton back in the story after his long absence since the first Resident Evil. The dynamic between Claire and Moira Burton is enjoyable, especially with Moira's personal struggles, while Barry's relationship with Natalia Corda adds a more emotional and protective side to the story. The mystery throughout the game is well done, and the twists kept me interested in what would happen next. The reveal of the villain and how Alex interacts with the characters are some of the strongest parts of the narrative. However, I do have one main issue. I wish there were more direct interactions between Alex and the main characters. It sometimes feels strange how she appears either already mutated or suddenly transforming, without enough build-up or presence beforehand. Also, while the story is engaging, it doesn't feel as large or impactful as other Resident Evil titles. Instead, it sometimes feels like it exists mainly to set up future events, rather than standing completely strong on its own. To summarize, the story follows Claire Redfield and Moira Burton after they are kidnapped and taken to a remote island controlled by a mysterious overseer. They are forced to survive against infected creatures while wearing bracelets that monitor their fear, as the virus on the island is activated by it. Claire tries to protect Moira, who is dealing with trauma involving firearms and her complicated relationship with her father. At the same time, Barry Burton arrives on the island searching for Moira, accompanied by Natalia Corda, a young girl with the ability to sense enemies. As they uncover the truth, it's revealed that Alex Wesker is conducting experiments to achieve immortality by transferring her consciousness into another body, targeting Natalia as her vessel. Depending on your choices, the game offers two endings. The canon ending is a good one, but in my playthrough, I got the bad ending, where Moira dies and Alex successfully takes control of Natalia's body, resulting in a much darker and more tragic conclusion for both Claire and Barry.
Alex.
No! Don't make me do it!
Make you do what, Barry?
God damn it, Natalia!
Let's talk about the graphics. The graphics in Revelations 2 are really good, and overall, they are comparable to what we saw in RE6. The environments, character models, enemy designs and cutscenes all look detailed and well crafted, helping bring the game's atmosphere to life. I especially liked seeing how Claire Redfield and Barry Burton look older and more mature, which adds a nice sense of progression to their characters. That said, just like RE6, the visuals do feel a bit outdated by today's standards. They still look good for their time, but they don't come close to the level of detail and realism seen in modern Resident Evil titles that use the RA engine. Let's now talk about the sound. The sound design in Revelations 2 is great, which is something you can usually expect from Resident Evil games. The environmental sounds, enemy audio, and weapon effects are all well crafted and immersive, helping to build tension throughout the experience. The voice acting is also solid, with characters sounding believable and fitting their roles well. The soundtrack stands out as well, especially during emotional moments and major story twists. The music does a great job of enhancing the atmosphere and making key scenes feel more impactful and memorable.
Oh god. What is this place?
Now let's turn to the last section, which is the replayability. When it comes to replayability, the game does offer a few options, but not all of them are particularly engaging. You can complete various challenges in the extras menu, which reward you for finishing specific tasks. There is also the option to rewatch cutscenes, which is useful if you missed anything during your playthrough or want to revisit certain story moments. The game also includes raid mode, similar to the first game. However, in this case, it feels less enjoyable, and personally, I didn't find much motivation to spend time with it. Additionally, there are the Struggle and Little Miss DLC episodes, which explore Moira's and Natalia's stories during the events of the main game. These add some extra context to the narrative, but they don't significantly increase the overall replay value. But now let's summarize everything with my overall impression. Resident Evil Revelations 2 delivers good gameplay, a great story, strong visuals, excellent sound design, and some replayability options. While the game does have its issues, especially with certain gameplay mechanics and its limited replay value, these problems don't take away from how enjoyable and engaging the first playthrough is. It may be slightly weaker than the first Revelations, but still stands as a solid and worthwhile experience. Despite its flaws, I had a really good time with it, and it ultimately earned the score it deserves. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more insightful review videos. Feel free to share your thoughts on whether the points I've raised resonate with you or if you have a different perspective, and leave your suggestions in the comments about which game you'd like to see reviewed next. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and thank you all for watching.